Friends and family, welcome to another live broadcast brought to you by Premier's Turning Point, with your host, Bishop Dr. Houghton Lane, and co-host, Overseer Franklin Williamson. We pray and hope that something that is being said today will bless your soul and spirit. Please take a quick moment to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family. Thank you again for joining us. Let's go into our live program.
Blessings, blessings, one and all. What an awesome day that the Lord has made, and we're back together just to discuss and keep getting informed on the daily events, and of course, the main thing, the events of the pandemic. And we just want everybody to, make sure you get all your questions together. Either if you're on Facebook or you are on YouTube, please put your questions in, and we'll be more than happy to try to answer them. We want everybody to, be aware of what is going on, the times that we're living in, and what we are up against. So really, this program, Premier's Turning Point, is for you. Is for you to get informed about the events of the time that are, affecting each and every one of our lives. You just need to make sure that you are up to date, you have all the necessary information, and you know where you stand. So this is what we're about, and we are hoping our co-hosts will be joining us soon, but otherwise we'll go ahead and we will discuss with you. I did want to go over one specific area, which is basically thinking about, wearing a mask and why we may still need to wear it, or why we should still be probably wearing it despite what is going on around us. And we want everybody to just, make sure that you're, well informed and well aware. So that is going to be very, very important that this is done, and each one of you are getting the best information that you possible can get and that you possible need. It is very important, and I want you to really, really, be up to speed where that's concerned. All right, and I want you to really, get to understand all of the things that we're up against, all of the things that we're facing, and make sure that you, have the information. That way, you can make an educated decision for yourself. You don't have to necessarily rely solely on what people are telling you, because there's so many false things that are going around. So many things that are going around that is not so, so keen. So you need to make sure that you are, getting the up to date information, and where you stand with all of that. So with that said, I want to jump in this evening, and as I said, I am going to go over, this is just one area that I think is so necessary, especially now that some people already received the vaccine. But you need to understand that even if you have received the vaccine, right now it is still necessary for you and everybody to be wearing a mask. And we wanna give you the reasons why, that is necessary. So that's gonna be an important point. So that's one of the main areas I'm gonna cover. And of course, if you have any questions, as I said, feel free to ask them. Go on either the Facebook or the YouTube and just ask your question, and so that we can definitely answer them and get you well informed. I know a lot of people have various concerns about the vaccine, and we're concerned about a lot of issues and things that are going on. But we want you to be up to date. We want you to understand where you stand. We want you to know what is out there, what you should be doing, what you should know about. And that's really what we're about. So we're going to embark on working on that and getting you up to speed. Remember to go on and to share with your loved ones. Make sure you're sharing with everybody, what's going on, let they know that the turning point is on, and that you are sharing with them so they can get necessary information, and you don't necessarily have to go about, trying to tell them the information again. So that is going to be so important. So just make sure you are going on and you're sharing and you're letting everybody know, what else is going on. I want you to also make sure you're sharing to your groups, you're sharing to everything that we're getting this word out, because I think the information is so important. But I think what a lot of time a lot of people are not um, you know getting out the information to the right groups and to the right people. So we want to be that source of information for everyone out there, and that's why we are doing this. The Lord has actually given us a mandate to spread not just the gospel, but to spread information that's going to lead people in the right direction. And so this is what Premier's Turning Point is about. So as I stated that today, I did want to cover in a slow manner, 5 reasons to wear a mask even after you have been vaccinated. And of course, I'll be willing to take other questions and such alike. But we see people some of them are now thinking out they're vaccinated that they can just drop this. But the mask and the social distance will need to continue into the foreseeable future until we have some level of herd immunity, is what one of the doctors said. All right. So that is until we have a wide range of immunity in the system. So, number one, remember that no vaccine is 100% effective. So, and there's the large clinical trials found that the 2 doses of the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines prevent about 95% of all illnesses caused by the coronavirus. So, while those results are impressive, that means 1 in 20 people are left unprotected. All right, so this is something you have to keep in mind. And note that the vaccines were tested in controlled clinical trials as in the top medical centers. So in the real world, vaccines are usually slightly less effective. So scientists use a specific term to describe the phenomenon. They refer to it as the protection offered by vaccine in a clinical trial as efficacy, while the actual immunity seen in a vaccinated population is effectiveness. So you have to understand that effectiveness of the COVID vaccine would be affected by the way they were handled, the genetic material, and all of that stuff that is used. So therefore, no vaccine is 100% protective. So you could see why it's still necessary for you to be protecting yourself and making sure that you are protected, you are covered, and everything is going well. So that's number one thing that that we're pointing out, and you need to understand that. Number two, you will understand further that vaccines don't provide immediate protection. All right. So there's not an immediate protection that you're going to get from the vaccines. So you need to understand that you may have to it's not an immediate thing. So it's not like you get vaccinated and then everything is then fine at that time. You need to give it a certain amount of time. So no vaccine is effective right away. It takes 2 weeks for the immune system to make the antibodies that block the viral infections. And I say 2 to 3 weeks because I've seen other people who have had it and have been tested and not necessarily have antibodies yet. So COVID vaccines will take a little longer than other inoculations, such as the flu shot, because both the Moderna and the Pfizer products, require 2 doses. So the Pfizer shots are given 3 weeks apart and the Moderna 4 weeks apart. So in other words, full protection won't arrive until 5 to 6 weeks after the first shot, because of course you're going to get the first shot and it's going to be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks for the second, and then you have to wait another 2 to 3 weeks after that. All right, so a person vaccinated on New Year's Day won't be fully protected until after Valentine's Day, to use an analogy. So it is important that this is realized. So many people now may be thinking, oh, I got the shot, I've been immunized, and so now that everything is fine. But that is not so. You need to make sure that you are following all of the routines and you're getting, covered adequately, and you're giving it time, for this to take place. And you need to give more time for for the body tend to act. And also, each person may be a little bit different because some people may be immunosuppressed. They may take longer to make antibodies. They may not make adequate antibodies. So there's a lot of things to take into account after you've gotten the shot, whether or not it's actually effective. And it's going to be take us a little bit of time to be sure, how soon the immunity is built up and what time. And of course, something to think about further down the line is that we're not sure how long this immunity is also going to last. There's the word is out, not out on that yet, so it's going to take a little bit more time for us to investigate, for them to do the appropriate studies, and for us to know if things are really working and how they're working and the time period for which it's taking for that to happen. So in other words, and so far the first point is it does not, excuse me, nothing is 100% effective. Number two, it's going to take time for the antibodies to build up. So you see why you can't just get a shot and said, okay, yes, now everything is fine and everything is all set. You're going to have to give it more time for that to happen. And it's going to take time for all of this to transpire and to go down the line and be working properly. So all of us need to still be careful. We need to still be protecting ourselves. We need to still be protecting others. And we should be working together to make sure this vaccine is effective and that it's working properly and everybody is overall is protected. So you see, I want you to make sure, you're sharing this kind of information, all right, so that, everybody out there is getting good information and they're getting to know, where they stand, where everybody stand and such like. So you want to make sure this is taking place as we go further on. So everybody out there, make sure you're sharing again, the broadcast so people are joining in. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the information. The number 3 point is COVID vaccine may not prevent you from spreading the virus. Now, hear me well. This is on the third point why I think, masks should be worn even after you're vaccinated. Vaccines can provide some level of protection. For example, the measles vaccine prevents viruses from causing infection, so vaccinated people don't spread the infection or develop symptoms. So that's how the measles work. But most other vaccines, including flu shots, prevent people from becoming sick, but not from becoming infected or passing the virus to others. All right? And so this is a very important point. And the advisors at the NIH and the FDA on COVID vaccines is pointing this out. While COVID vaccines clearly prevent illness, researchers need more time to figure out whether they prevent transmission too. So this is the one thing you have to understand. So we don't yet know if the vaccine protects against infection or only against illness. All right, so this is an important point. In other words, a vaccinated person might still be able to spread the virus even if they don't feel sick. Important, important, important point. So until researchers can answer that question, wearing masks is the safest way for vaccinated people to protect those around them. So the point here is being vaccinated, you may be protected is that you won't get a sick, you may get a mild illness, you may get no illness at all, even if you're exposed. While it's not clear yet if you may still be able to transmit that virus. For example, quite a few people, after they even have antibodies, and they still are testing positive for virus if you do the nasal swab or the oral swab. And that meaning they're still showing the presence of the virus, and it's not known, if they can still spread that virus. All right, so that's clear. Also, remember, there are tons of people who are, asymptomatic, and again, it's not clear how much they spread the virus. There are those people also who have been vaccinated, and yes, they may then get exposed. So the virus may be in their nasal passage and such like. They won't get sick, but it's not clear if they can then spread it to somebody else and that person gets sick. So therefore, with that said, you need to continue wearing a mask even after you're vaccinated. And that's more so now to protect others that are around you. And especially if you have any immunosuppressed people in your immediate home situation or in your vicinity or you're working with, if you also have very young children around, yes, all of those reasons would be to still wear a mask. And so you're helping to protect others that are out there. So that's going to be an important point. Again, and I kind of sort of made the number 4 already, but masks protect people with compromised immune system. Remember, people with cancer are at particular risk from COVID. And studies show that they're more likely than others to become infected and die from the virus. But they may not be protected by vaccines, which is an important point. So people with cancer who are in chemotherapy, those who are getting chemotherapeutic agents for other reason, those who are, have any of the autoimmune diseases and they're on the autoimmune immunomodulators, a whole slew of people may be immunocompromised, and therefore they, even if they're vaccinated, we want them to be vaccinated, but they may not mount as good as a antibody response, and therefore may not be as protected and may still be vulnerable to coming down with the virus if they're exposed. So therefore, it is going to be so important. So cancer patients are vulnerable in multiple ways. People with lung cancer are less able to fight off pneumonia, while those undergoing chemotherapy or radiation treatment have weakened immune systems. Leukemia and lymphoma attack immune cells directly, which makes it harder for patients to fight off viruses. So doctors don't know how much about how people with cancer will respond to the vaccines as yet. All of this we have to find out with time, because they're, and a lot of them were excluded from some of the randomized trials. So only a handful of study participants were diagnosed with cancer. So we're going to take more time for us to see and to know. So although the vaccines appear safe, prior studies with other vaccines raise concerns that immunosuppressed patients, including cancer patients, may not mount as great an immune response as healthy patients. And for now, we should assume that patients with cancer may not experience the 95% efficacy that other people would experience if they get the vaccine. So we're not clear. They could, but there's a good chance that they will not be as protected. Some people aren't able, some of them are not even able to be vaccinated because of their immune system. So while most people with allergies can receive the vaccine safely, the CDC does advise that those who had a severe allergic reaction, including anybody reaction to polyethylene glycol, to either avoid the vaccination or speak with your doctor so that you can get it in a more controlled situation. So we encourage people continuing wearing masks to protect those with cancer and others who may not be fully protected. So this here is strictly thinking about others. It's strictly trying to see how we can, help prevent others that maybe not, somewhat immunocompromised from being exposed unduly. The fifth point is the mask will protect against any strain of the coronavirus in spite of the genetic mutations. I know you've been hearing a lot about that, but the global health leaders are extremely concerned about new genetic variants of the virus, which appear to be at least 50% more contagious than the original. So far, the studies suggest that the vaccines should work against these new strains. But for the foreseeable future, we're not sure if there will be a mutation in the virus. That means a change in their genetic makeup, that they act a little bit differently. And this is something that happens all the time. The virus is, trying to, outsmart us, in other words. And therefore, as we develop a vaccine, they're trying to figure out ways that they, can counteract. So we have to always be on the lookout that there may be a strain, a variant that the vaccine potentially may not work against. And therefore, when it comes to the mask, that would be one of our important way of still protecting even of those. So one thing is clear, public health measures such as avoiding crowds, physical distancing, and masks reduce the risk of contracting all strains of the coronavirus as well as other respiratory diseases. For example, the number of flu cases worldwide has been dramatically lowered since countries began asking citizens to stay home and to wear masks. So I know there was one question, and one of the other false thing that is going around is that we don't see much flu because we're diagnosing everything as coronavirus, but that is not so. There's actually less incidence of the flu so far this year, and it's still the thought is that because so many countries and people are wearing the mask, that we're seeing a less exposure. So that is important information. And masks will remain effective, but careful on consistent use is essential. I don't know about you, but I just see so many people wearing the mask under their chin, wearing the mask, below their nose, and all kinds of ways of wearing the mask that those ways are not effective. So the best hope of ending the pandemic isn't to choose between masks, physical distancing, and vaccines, but is to combine them all. The three approaches work best as a team. And this is what we're going to need. We're going to need teamwork. We're going to need all of us coming together. And don't, think, well, okay, now I'm vaccinated, I don't need a mask, or I'm wearing a mask, so I don't have to be vaccinated. All of that. The issue is it's recommended that we all be vaccinated. However, as I pointed out, it's a personal choice. You're going to have to decide if you are going to be vaccinated. You're going to have to decide to make that move. I don't think so far they're going to make it mandatory. It may be mandatory for certain jobs, for certain professions, and also for travel, it seems like. But outside of that, you still have a choice. But I want everybody here to be able to make an educated choice about, how they move along with this. So the 5 points we pointed out today, why you should wear a mask in general, and even if you're vaccinated with the coronavirus vaccine, because number one, no vaccine is 100% effective. Number two, vaccine don't provide immediate protection, takes some time. And number three, COVID vaccines may not prevent you from spreading the virus. Number four, mask protects people with compromised immune systems. And number five, masks protect against any strain of the coronavirus. So it doesn't matter what strain you may get exposed to. Wearing the mask is probably your best way of preventing and protecting yourself and others. And especially if a person is immunocompromised, they have cancer, they have been getting chemotherapy, they have lupus, they have any of the autoimmune diseases, they have MS and such like, you may be doing a world of good by you protecting yourself and them and being a source of protection for them. So you want to make sure you're just doing this. I want everyone out there to join in this feat. At least if you're going to be out and about, you should be wearing a mask. If you're home, of course it's your choice. If you're home, what you're going to be doing. But when you're in your own confines, of course, it's not as important. But especially if you are exposed to others, it's going to be of utmost importance. And right now, we're seeing if you're listening to the news at all, you see we're on upwards of 4,000 people a day dying because of all the surges that they've seen in the incidents. And California right now is really hard hit. I mean, the pictures from there are just, They're just too much when you see all the bodies that are just lined up in trucks. So it's still, we're not out of the woods. We're getting there. And, but you have to push ahead and keep working and keep working smart, keep living smart so that, and of course, we also have to be very well prayed up because we know that God is able to protect us and to guide us. Of course, even those who have maybe even despite wearing the mask and doing everything because of your job, you were exposed. We thank God that everybody has survived around our circles here, in New Jersey anyway. I'm speaking about all the people that I've known between those within my family or church family I've done quite well. And I think that also is the protecting hand of God. And we need to not leave that out of the equation in everything that we're doing. We have to make sure we're trusting Him and make sure that we're not giving into all the little things that goes around, but we are acting smart and we're using the brain that God has given us. We are using the equipment and the doctors, whatever He has given us to use and given us the knowledge to protect ourselves while we're yet praying and putting everything under His control. So I want everybody who have a questions, or this is a good time to chime in with your questions. If you have a comment, if you want to just share with us, feel free to do so because we want you to make sure that you're up to speed. There is a lot of news. There's a lot of I call them fake news. There's a lot of people. There's all kind of bandwagons that people are on. People are making all kind of predictions. People are saying all kinds of things. I want you to be very clear in your thinking and in your mind. God is yet in control. He has given us tools to work with. Thank God He has given us the knowledge through the scientists, that we can, given us the ways that we can best protect ourselves. We can best be protected and, find, the strength and stuff that we need to carry on. But we need to make sure that we're in line with all of that. The weather we see is different over different parts of the country. Actually, we up here in New Jersey was a little bit warmer than places in Texas. There's snow in the Midwest. The whole climate is upside down. So that goes to tell you that, something is happening. I mean, and I'm one of those who believe that the end is probably near when you see all that is taking on. But we are God's people, and we believe and we trust in God. Those who believe and trust in God can hold strong to that conviction, knowing that God is able, and there's nothing that is too hard for Him. And we realize that when it comes up to the end of time, as we talked about last week, there's a bandwagon of people who are trying to equate the immunization to the mark of the beast. It's not clear scripturally or in any way, shape that is so. However, each of you have to decide, where you're going to go, how you're going to go, how you're going to carry yourself. So we want you to understand that Premier's Turning Point is just for your information, and you can then deduce it. The disclaimer, which I did make up top, is we whatever information is given out, always check with your doctor. Anything advice, make sure you clear it with your doctor. Always check with your pastor. Always check with your spiritual leaders, and make sure you clear everything there. We are giving information from our standpoint, but each of you need to, make up your mind, make your decisions using the resources that you have, the resources that are at your disposal, and if God has put a leader in your life, then I would defer you to them for all of the spiritual advice and all of those kinds of advice. Medically, I'm a medical doctor, but from my standpoint, whatever information is given out, check with your doctor and make sure that is congruent with their plans. I don't know for example, what medication people may be taking, what else is going on in their life, but your primary doctor should know that. So I want you to, make sure then that you are watching and looking out for that and such alike. I think there was a question about someone and an immigrant visa or no visa, or no insurance where it can go. I know in New York there is no questions of where of getting the shot, whether you're have insurance, no insurance, whether you're documented even or not. You can pretty much go get registered and go for the shot. As far as I know, also in New Jersey, if you go at the New Jersey, the 211, if you go our COVID hotline or COVID-19, New Jersey COVID-19 hotline, you can get information there. You can register. They do not ask you for a social security number. They do not ask you they ask you if you have insurance, yes or no. You just say no if you don't, and you can register. And then when they ask you all the questions, all the general questions, whether you're healthcare work or not. And then when it's your turn to be able to book an appointment, they will send you an email so that you can book an appointment. The only sad part right now, I'm hoping that's going to change. For example, I got my email to book my appointment, but every place doesn't have any available appointments at the current time. But I think by next week, when they sort out this vaccine supply, all that should be opened up, I will presume. But keep in touch. You can also, if you go to the New Jersey COVID hotline, you will see there's a place where you can just text for questions, and I think they get back to you for that as well. There's a phone call, but I know the hold on the phone number is long. But basically, you can get all the information you need right there. So don't be afraid to get on to sign up and get immunized, which is going to be important for all of us to do. So be sure that you get online and get registered, that when it's available for you, you will get notified. All right. So hopefully that answered the question that that person had. We want everyone to keep on pouring in your comments, your questions, and then we're going to go from there. Now, I know people may still have concerns about the safety of the vaccines. Now a lot of people have gotten their second shots, second immunization, and there's been not much more change in the side effect profile. Yes, people do, as we talked last week, you do get some local inflammation, some local arm pain. You may get a fever, which quite a few people have. You may get some just feeling fatigue, weak, and some of those type of symptoms. The key point, however, is no matter if you even get any of those symptoms, the point is to remember that those symptoms are usually just temporary and they will go away, after a little while. So you don't have to, be so concerned. There's not a live virus that is being put into your system. As a matter of fact, there's not a virus that is put in your system. They're putting in a piece of mRNA, which is going to it doesn't go into the nucleus. It doesn't mess with your DNA, but basically it's read by the cells, and a protein is made that resembles and is similar to the protein that is on the virus. And that is how your body is going to, recognize that, and the body's going to then make antibodies against that, make antibodies against that protein, which then when the virus, your system is presenting with a virus, these antibodies will attack it. We thank God, Minister Elder Donna Richards, who was on the program last week, she did receive her second shot, and she basically had sore arm and fatigue is mainly things that she experienced. And as I said, and so then nothing on toward our major for her personally. And remember, everybody may be a little bit different, so you may get some additional symptoms, but I think they're really short-lived. I know one of our other members got the first shot. They did have a fever the night off and such like, but they're doing fine. So be aware. Yes, there will be some minor side effects. We have not seen amongst our people any of the major effects. Some people have reported, we saw the one person who was on spreading a lot of news, which is not totally correct, that they had a Bell's palsy after receiving the shot. A few people have, most of those have resolved. And also the incidence of Bell's palsy after receiving the shot was much low than the natural incidence of Bell's palsy in the population. So there's not a cause and effect, maybe coincidental. So you need to get all the information so you can best make a decision. That's really the point I've been making, all along. Nobody's going to force anybody or tell anybody that they must do something. That is your decision. And you can pray about it. I have no problem with that. You can fast about it. I have no problem with that. But one thing I want you to do when the Lord gives you your answer, that you should go ahead and have the shot. If he gives you that answer, then I don't want you to question God. All right. I want you to, then believe, believe God. And don't, be so quick to listen to and hear everything that is put out there in the media. There's a group of people whose main job is to dissuade you from doing this because of their belief and their ulterior motive and their thoughts. But you have to make up your mind based on your belief in God, your trusting in God, your hope in the Lord, and then you have to then mix that with the knowledge that God has given you through science, the knowledge that you have received through what the learning and what God has meted out to you, and don't get so wary about that. So don't be afraid, and even though, and those people with no insurance or even not documented, I want you to still register and sign up. They're not asking for Social Security. They're not asking you for any of that. I think it's just your date of birth, your address, phone number, and such like. And you want to be protected. I think pretty soon, I know New York is doing it, New Jersey is doing it. They're all working on opening up some mega centers so that when the vaccines are more readily available, you should probably be better able to get an appointment to get your shot. So you need to make sure but the key thing is to sign up, register, so that when all of this opens up, you will be able to get notified, and then you can get the shot. I think it's very difficult phone wise to reach most anybody. Even the pharmacies that are doing it, they have these hotline, and they are recommending that you register, online with the state, and then get, your appointment that way, because they can then best know when it's available, and you'll be getting notified. Right now, it is a little bit frustrating because, even when you're notified, you still can't find an appointment. But I think over the next week, when the supplies are released, that should get better. All right, for those people who are wanting to be immunized. And again, remember, if you're not, those people who opt not to be immunized, is your decision. But I would recommend that you continue to distance, you continue to wear a mask, and you continue to protect yourself and others. Remember, we had almost completely eradicated measles and had not seen much measles, but all of a sudden there have been a bunch of people who are now they call themselves anti-vaxxers, and they put themselves in that group where they want to get no immunization. And therefore, just the other day, we had a big resurgence in certain areas of the measles. So one thing we're telling you, vaccines over the years have worked. I don't know, and believe it or not, a lot of our third world countries, and especially I can talk about Jamaica, for example, their immunizations rates are much higher than the US and a lot of the developed countries. And the reason is they have actually kind of mandated vaccines. And even a lot of us now who are against vaccine, when you were a child in Jamaica, you were vaccinated. It was not a choice. They do it in the schools, they do it at the clinics, and actually they'd have days at school where they just went around, and if you're not up to date, you would be vaccinated. So we actually are seeing a much higher vaccination completion rate in a lot of these other countries because of the systems that they use. Of course, in America, we have a lot of amendments to the Constitution and a lot of things which are good because they're good for protection. However, that gives you more of a choice. And that's why I'm really making it clear that this whole issue here is a choice. You have a choice, but I'm hoping that everyone will make the right choice and, be well protected from a three-pronged approach, from the mask, from distancing, and the vaccine. So you have all of that available to you, and you, if you so choose, you may use it. If you so desire, you can be protected. So we want you all out there to do it. Another pointer online, somebody said their colleague had chills and body aches, which resolved in 24 hours from getting their immunization. So far we have seen fever, chills, body aches, sore arm from our polling of our people on this forum, and fatigue. Those are the main symptoms that are out there. And most of the symptoms are resolving in about 24 to 48 hours. So, what we do suggest, for strategic planning, if you have something big to do the next day, probably don't get the vaccine when you have something planned the next day, but just give yourself 48 hours so that, in case you have any, the minor side effects, they'll be resolved before you're ready to do, whatever activity it is that you have planned. And of course, in general, I was telling everyone to make sure that you're eating right, you're exercising, you're getting enough sleep, you're doing all of the good things that you need to do just to have a overall healthy system, because that is number one. And so you need an healthy natural system, and of course you need a healthy spiritual system. And for that, you're going to fast, you're going to pray, you're going to worship, you're going to give God praise. And you see, when you're balanced out like that, then even if you contract the coronavirus, you're going to have a better chance of surviving, and your body is going to work to its fullest for you to then develop the resistance that you need. So we want everybody just to, keep tuned, keep sending in any questions that you may have. Thank God that my co-host finally woke up. No, sorry, my co-host is with me right now. We know all our lives are kind of busy, and so things do come up. But I kind of held down the fort till he joined us. And just
Thank
for a
you.
quick recap, the main thing we talked about again, and I'll just go over them: the 5 reasons why those who have even been vaccinated should still wear a mask. And remember, number one, no vaccine is 100% effective. So you may be vaccinated but not 100% cover. Vaccine do not provide immediate protection. Remember, I told you you need at least a 2 to 3 weeks after your second immunization shot to actually be up to that 95% covered. Number 3, COVID vaccines may not prevent you from spreading the virus. Remember, that's a main point. Even after being vaccinated, is not clear yet. They have need more studies to know if you could still then spread it to someone else. Remember, I told you there are people who are still positive in the nasal swab up to weeks after they're even getting the COVID virus. Number 4, masks protect people with compromised immune system. So you're protecting those people still by doing the mask, because even if they get the immunization, they may not develop as good immunity, or some of them may not even be able to get it. And number 5, masks protect against any strain of the coronavirus in spite of the genetic mutations. So we're seeing a lot of genetic mutations, and it's not clear yet which ones will be definitely covered by the vaccine. So if there's one that is not, that comes along, you still need to wear your mask. And Overseer Williamson is now with us, so I'm going to let him, either drill us with some more questions or put in his 2 cents as to where we are.
All right. Well, thank you for allowing me to join. Bishop, I want to add, and today at 8:45, my dad and I, we went and we got the Pfizer vaccine, Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. And that was at 8:45 this morning. And let me tell you, I am not a anti-vaxxer or even a pro-vaxxer, but I think it was wise as a pastor who attends 2 services on Sunday, and I am interacting, yes, even social distancing with our members, and want to give them the level of safety, security, and surety. So I'm also an educator, And as an educator, we are now in the 1B. So I got my letter of authorization, and within a day or two, I got my appointment scheduled. And I said, why not let my dad take my place? Sure enough, I reach out, and my dad is more than 85. And should I say he's 85. And he also was vaccinated. Just spoke to him before I got on the program, and he is alive and well. Will be up and out, no immediate reactions. As Dr. Ling says, 48 hours, but we are fine. What I want to share with you is the literature that they gave me after I was vaccinated. And this is revised as of December 2020 from the CDC. The FDA has authorized the emergency use of the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent COVID-19 in individuals 16 years old of age and older, and emergency use authorization, EAU. Now, what should you mention to your vaccination provider before you get this? You need to let them know, 1, you have any type of allergies. 2, you have a fever. 3, you have a bleeding disorder, or you are currently taking blood thinner. Fourthly, you are pregnant or plan to become pregnant. 5th, you are breastfeeding. You have an infant and you're breastfeeding. You have received another COVID-19 vaccine. And finally, you are immunized. What it says, your medicine affects your immune system. So your immune system is compromised whenever you take this medicine. Now, it went on to say who should get this, right? Those who are above the age of 60 and older. It says that those who are in good health, those who pretty much not showing a fever, you don't have any allergies, you are not pregnant, pretty much the negatives to what I have given you. Now, also, what I received, there is a app. It's called the V-Safe app, which is called the Vaccination Health Checker. And it's at the website vsafe.cdc.gov. And what can you anticipate? It says once you get the vaccine, you can enroll in the V-Safe on your smartphone. So that is for those who have received the vaccine. And how long? It says during the first week after you get the vaccine, you will send a text message each day to ask you how long. And then for the next 5 weeks, they will be monitoring your progress. My second dose is scheduled for 21 days in the future. So in February, I will be taking the second dose alongside my dad. Now, again, I'm not an anti-vaxxer or a pro-vaxxer. I just saw it was necessary and fit. I have no side effects. I'm not feeling any type of immediate reaction to the vaccine. And I will encourage, everyone, especially given your line of work and knowing your bodies. If you are someone who have high allergies, you want to check with your doctor, primary doctor first and foremost, and listen to your doctor's advice. I noticed where we had the vaccine taken, it was in the hospital. And we were a few steps away from the emergency room. I guess that was strategically done. There were quite a number of elderly patients, or would I say folks that attended and were ready for vaccine. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful that we live in a country like the United States where technology, where the funds, where the knowledge is available, and we are able to have an access to a vaccine this quickly. Now, we talk about herd immunity. So the vaccine can be in the warehouse, it can be in the refrigerator, but until the vaccine gets in the arms of the people and get into at least 70% of the people, there cannot be a herd immunity. What that does, it will somehow help us as a body of people to bring back some level of normalcy in our lives. Even though I've been vaccinated, I don't feel like I'm a superhero. No, I will still do the top 5. I will still wear my mask. I will still wash my hands. I will still social distance. I will still avoid crowd and make sure that I am keeping myself safe, so therefore you will be safe. So thank you. Our goal here is to ensure that we give you enough information. Here you have Overseer Franklin firsthand. We're not speaking third hand. We're not speaking about what someone else said. I myself, just today, along with my dad side by side, was vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. So please, pastors, encourage your members, especially those who are your critical, if you want to call them essential worker. They are the ones who are there with you, making sure the AV room is set. They're making sure that they are sanitizing. They're making sure they're taking the temperature. Those are on the front lines of your ministry. What I have done as a pastor, I've taken on myself to take my members to get their COVID test done. I have dispelled the fear. And so many are calling and thanking me that they have done this. They said they have heard so many horror stories, but now that they have gotten their test and got their result, they are now on a cadence, on a 2-week frequency in ensuring that they get tested. So thank you. Back to you, Dr.
Yes.
Lane.
I think I'll just make a little bit of statement about the herd immunity since we're mentioning it. So herd immunity or community immunity is when a large part of the population of an area is immune to a specific disease. So if enough people are resistant to the cause of a disease, such as a virus or bacteria, then that virus or bacteria has nowhere to go. So even though you have some new people may come in the system with it, it's not going to spread because then you have 70%. So while not every single individual may be immune, the group as a whole has protection. And this is because there are fewer high-risk people overall, and the infection rate then drop, and then the disease kind of peters out. So herd immunity protects at-risk population. These include babies and those whose immune system are weak, or who don't get resistance on their own. So there's 2 ways to achieve this. You can develop resistance naturally. Remember at the outset, this was what one of our leaders was suggesting. But of course, if you do it that way, you would have probably 1 million people would die. But you could do it naturally when your body is exposed to a virus or bacteria. It makes the antibodies fight off the infection, and when you recover, you have the antibodies. So the body will defend against another infection that come along. And this is what happened when we had in Brazil with the Zika virus. That's how that happened. 2 years after the outbreak, about 63% of the population had exposure, and the researchers think the community then had herd immunity. However, they could allow that to happen because the Zika was not killing tons and tons of people. Now, vaccines is the other way that you can also build a resistance. They make your body think of our virus or bacteria has infected it. You don't get sick, but you then develop immune antibodies that are then protective. And then when we immunize about 70% of the population will then have what we call that herd immunity. So that's really what we are shooting for here. All right. Somebody asks a question: should we take a new job without the vaccine? The question is a little vague, but let me answer it this way. If you were exposed, you should get a test before you get that new job. I think most new jobs, especially if it's in the healthcare field, are going to ask you for a test because they're going to want you to be sure, especially if they're going to be sending you out various places. Are you going into one of the facilities? But I would suggest it in general. Anybody who have a chance of being exposed, whether you're around a lot of people, even if you're wearing a mask, periodically to get tested so that you can know what your status is. I think most new employers are probably going to be, and I know a lot of people saying, well, you're discriminating if you do that, but hey, it's their job, their facility, and I think you're going to see more and more of that people are going to want us to be tested. So that's how I will answer. Yeah, go ahead.
And even in your present job, you should opt to get tested. The more informed you are, is the better it is for you. So the new job, it's like a new person coming in, right? And maybe they know the state of all the present employees. So to just minimize any opportunity of spreading, they may put that requirement on you. I wouldn't be objected to that. All right?
Yeah.
But
well, I think what it is, and not the particular person who asked the question, we do still have a lot of people who are against everything, and not necessarily from an informed standpoint, but maybe just their personal preference, which is okay, but I think everybody should get informed. But I couldn't say I would blame an employer who says, all right, there's a new person coming to my system, we need to know their status, because I think that employer is then looking out for, yes, they're looking out for themselves, but they're looking out for the other employees. They're looking out for the livelihood of their business, because if you come in and everybody then gets sick, that employer has a problem, So I think, in the scheme of getting everything back running, getting everything up to par, I think we're going to see a lot of employers potentially requiring that you have a negative test, especially if you're a new hire. But, as I said, we just got to take it a case by case and step by step. All right. Any last words, Overseer?
Yes.
Today?
Yes. I encourage everyone, don't be fearful. Don't be fearful of this COVID-19. Be informed. The more informed you are, I think the better you'll be able to navigate. And just follow the protocols. Wear the mask, and don't make it a debate. Just follow the CDC guidelines. Listen to the science and follow the science. And also, if you are eligible and otherwise you're healthy, and dispel the fear. Pretty much, I don't like needles, so I told the nurse, and let me know when you're ready. I turned my head, and before I know it, she was done, right? And that was it. So I encourage you to do the right thing for yourself and your family. God bless.
All right. So we thank everybody for joining this week. We'll be back next week. Stay tuned for another turning point. And we know that, we're going to have some more great information. We'll see if everybody allows us and don't have too many questions, we may move on with the topic, but we will see, how it goes. But we'll also probably make some space for questions if people still have any questions. So everybody have a wonderful week. Make sure you go out and bring your praise. If you're doing it virtually, bring your praise and just get God the glory. And also be ready, just for the move of God. Remember, I'm wearing my gold tie today. I didn't want to shock you so much yellow, but this is 21 and beyond is a time of hope. 21 is a year of hope. And so we want everybody to hope in the Lord, because we know God has our back and God won't let us down. So God bless you. Everybody have an awesome Martin Luther King Day as you celebrate. Just let the Lord lead and let the Lord guide. God bless you. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Blessings.
Turning Point family, what an awesome time we just had. To all our first-time guests, we truly appreciate you for joining our live broadcast. We would like to hear from you, so please send us your comments, questions, or testimonies of how this program has impacted your life. Our email address is info@pflmi.org. Finally, if you feel led at any time to give to this ministry, please visit us at pflmi.org and click on the tab for donations. You can also give via Cash App at $PFLMIORG. We're looking forward to meeting with you live on next week's program. Have a blessed and prosperous weekend.